last week we had a meeting. We had a demo from Jean-Thierry about tenant removal, lots of discussion about different strategies to do that, potential issues. I know he's been working a little more on that. Mike showed us some demo about notifications. I'm trying to remember because we talked about workflows. About workflows, oh yeah, so sending emails, text, whatever kind of notifications you want from different events. Okay. We talked about 1.5, and I know Jasper fixed an issue that was put in 1.5 today. Line 13. Will we have demos? I believe so. Who wants to do some demo today?
I have a demo for users. Mike
as a demo.
If we have that.
We'll have so much time. Like last week lasted like 1 hour and 40 minutes, one of the longest ever. Who else?
Yeah. Hello, I have a demo for the Folkways site.
Double. Very back. So that's it. Okay. Jean-Thierry, I see your mic is unmuted. We were asking for demos if people have some demos. Topics, just after demos, we'll get any questions. Whoever has questions or wants to talk about something. Status. So what happened last week since the 6th? Yep. Okay, 6. So what time was it? Midnight. Okay, 7. Add quick preferences to editorconfig. Hisham. Okay, file scope namespaces. What is a simple using statement? I don't know. Braces, I know what it is. But for code blocks, yes, we want braces. Even if it's a single line if statement, we want braces. Provide IConfiguration extensions to configure certain modules. What is that? IConfiguration extensions. I'm gonna mute. So this is email configuration. This is Facebook auth configuration. I believe it's missing. It's not missing space. It is just JSON syntax here. Maybe better on single line. I don't know how it looks like when the markdown is rendered in this case. GitHub, Google, so it looks like application stuff, reverse proxy, configuration. And Twitter configuration, documentation. But then this is sample, same thing. And then what is this? Okay, it's just more configuration supporting the app settings for different things that were not plugged with options or with configuration. So So I'm kind of confused. Why is there a reverse proxy settings like this? So this is existing. What's the difference between something like that and an options class? Jean-Thierry knows, because I believe he made that.
Maybe to have the ability to have some option to override the setting. But I don't know if it was already the case for this option.
Microsoft account settings. Let me check. So we have this class, which is just a Poco. How is it used? Get settings from get site settings. Okay, so okay. I get it. Let me explain. So these settings are stored in the database. Okay, and we have screens to configure them. Make sense? Like, yeah. So when you have settings that are stored in database as a setting object, we can bind them to any class. Fine. But here, the idea is that you might want to set them not from the database, not from the UI, but from options. And in this case, this is the pattern. To read the configuration section as a loose object and then bind it to
Yes,
bind it.
We already did this for security setting, either security setting, and maybe it was not already the case for this one.
Yep.
But we never discussed of the pattern who have to win because we have other options where the admin setting are winning.
Yeah, interesting. Interesting. So you think this one wins?
What I mean is I am open to any things, but normally in some case we can consider.
Yeah, I think we got muted, but yeah.
Usually you want the site settings to win, right? So the site
database one.
Yeah, so that one should be the post, and this one should be just a configure.
Yes, but we have security settings that already use this pattern, but it's open to a discussion to have a strategy between option setting and so on.
If I recall correctly, the security settings uses configure. It doesn't use post configuration. I could be wrong. I haven't looked at it in a while, but I think that's the case.
I don't say we should do this way. I just say there are multiple ways to.
Yeah, I mean, when you start the app, it's reading from the options. It's in the file. Then after that, you can change it in the admin.
Yes,
so
this is what we do. This is what we do for tenant setting, for tenant, for example. So we have the configuration stack, and then we can override it afterwards.
That's why I think the database should be second. And if there is no option, because database is second, then it will, yeah, I'm set, so I will take it. But
this is my feeling. But for security setting, for example, if I remember, we could have an option. Do you want the option to override the setting or not? Because when the setting doesn't win, it's confusing when you see a screen with the setting. You don't know if you have to put a message, it will be override with, you understand?
And like some things are nullable, like app ID. If it's null, maybe you can say, okay, it's null, so I will take the value from options. But bool
Yes,
is
we
not.
can do something more complex, like tenant setting. Value exist or not, yes. Yes, option can have default value, and seed setting always win. And options are there when there is no setting or not yet updated. And we can have default option like paginaire option, for example, recently.
Yeah, so maybe because of the fact that there is no way to know if something is there or not when it's saved database, maybe options should win. This way,
Should be configured first, and then if settings are there, override.
but you don't know if it's there. Or maybe you know if there is one object, but maybe you don't want to set save tokens. Like the bool. Let's assume you want to override app secret. Fine, you override an app secret, but then you don't want to override save tokens. How do you say that? You can't, because there is true or false. So it will take whatever is in save tokens, true or false. If it was nullable, then fine. You could say null, and it will not override what is defined in options. So maybe that's the pattern. Use nullable values and null values if you don't want to override. But be careful that a null value means don't override what is in options. It doesn't mean it's null. If you want an empty value, use empty, and then it will override what is in option.
Or we could assume that in setting, admin setting, we don't put all the fields, and assume that if the fields are there, they have to override the existing one.
The fields will always be there. I see what you mean in JSON. I see, but the way we work out of it is by doing a bind.
No, I say when you do a configuration, option configuration with this site setting, we just override in the current option instance the fields that are defined in the setting, not override other one.
But save token will always be defined because it's a bool. That's why I'm saying the only way is to use nullable. And then it means don't override.
So in the security settings, if you look at the code, there is a flag called from configuration, and in the display driver, we evaluate that from configuration flag, and then we load from that configuration if that setting is set. So that's why they're using the post configuration. But also, if you look at other examples, like we did for the resources options and for the pager options, you will see that we're using configure, and then the post configuration, we're using the site settings. Because when you have a site settings, you have an admin UI, and you want to always make sure if that is available to honor the UI. If the UI doesn't exist, then you do the configuration.
Yes, and we can just, like here, override the values that are intended to be in the site setting, in the admin setting. If we do that, you don't, for example, you don't override another option field that can that are intended to only be provided by option, by configuration.
The word intended here is weird because maybe you don't intend, but maybe someone wants.
Yes.
Also, when you have a UI with a bool, even if it's a bool variable, the checkbox is checked or not. So you're like, is the value provided if you didn't check the box? Like it's false. So do you save it or do you say it's not?
We can have a nullable bool.
Yes, but in the UI, then you need a 3-state checkbox, like not set, yes, no. And the users will be like, why will I not set it? Like, yes, it's for overriding the options, okay, but or maybe when you look to the UI and it's not set in the settings, but it's set in the option, then what do you show? Do you show it as a
Yes.
grade checkbox? Like it's checked, but not really checked. So if you want to check it,
Yes,
you
I
will check it.
understand, but it will be a little more complex. We have to discuss, yes, to discuss of this if we want to just collaborate in a simple way or check what is already existing or not and so on.
If you're saying that there is no rule, you can't define a rule because the rule is too complex.
Yes.
So yeah, maybe something like that, case by case, and but document what can be over in the UI or not, was taken from the options. So yeah. So here the new behavior is that the options win, which is the easiest way to do things like. But when you change the admin, then you don't know that whatever you say.
Yes,
the admin,
that's why there is a message in the admin setting of security leader. Just for this case, there is a message saying options are validated and so on. Okay.
So I have okay. A philosophical question and issue here. I don't think this is correct. So, and people from Lombiq are hearing me here. So I am Lombiq. I find issue on Lombiq because I need something and replace Lombiq with anything. Like I'm Sebastian. I find something. I pay someone to do that. I can validate what they did and they can merge the thing. That's not ethical, I think. This issue might be fine, but the process is not good because it's like force pushing some things that you want by paying someone that can push something. You can too, but it's like, hey, let's agree to that we both get benefits from that. I need that, you get paid, let's merge it. See? At least if the issue, which is there, had been triaged and approved for 1.x, that might, there is a discussion here. Maybe we approve, but just saying that it's not obvious that it has been approved and that is a solution because we are still discussing about that here. And it was not triaged correctly. So maybe ask for it to be triaged or to make a decision before we can go through this this way. I hope it's clear. I don't mean bad here, but I'm afraid that this pattern would come back again. And I don't think it should be done continuously.
Yes, that's why here, if there are no options added, it work exactly as before.
Just about the way it has been done.
Yes.
I'm not talking technical anymore. I'm just saying
Okay,
I don't like this pattern because the issue was created, was talked about, was not triaged. But it's clear to me that Hicham was contracted to make the change. The people who contracted Hicham approved the change, and Hicham merged the change. That's not how it should be there. That's also my role to say yes, no sometimes, but I also agree when someone else independent says yes, no, there is no problem. And you've seen that by the past, sometimes Chantier was approving, Justman is approving, anyone can approve and was merge access, and then totally fine that I'm not doing that. It's just here that nobody did that. All the people involved were part of the scheme. So I don't like this pattern. Not talking about this issue is fine, probably, just saying. That is good, like, hey, Antoine, can we merge it? Okay, that's good. Well, maybe just because it was code owner, but we didn't get anything else. So that's my concern here. So for the future, let's be careful about this. Next. Eight branch That a branch? Only? No, it's merged. Just the branch is still there. It's weird. Maybe, yeah, I think it's still there. Some cleaning. Anti-docs update. Data protection update. MailKit. Fix a number with a PR number. So what is this fix? So here nullability checks for shortcode descriptors, which can be null. Interesting.
Categories can be null when you define add the
Categories.
new shortcut. So we just eliminate it so that way it doesn't cause exception.
Category here is not that it's descriptor. What we do dot categories. So if a category could be null.
Correct.
then
Category is an array of strings, and it could be null. And if it is null,
So-
we get exception.
So if the array can be null, then here it should be s.category question mark array.empty. Here you're testing if the shortcode itself, the descriptor can be null, not the category. So maybe what you said is actually not right. Like it's not categories that can be null, but a descriptor. Because if a category can be null or categories can be null, then nothing here is preventing that.
I think I see what you're saying. Well,
Did it fix it? Did it fix
it did
your
fix
issue?
it, but yeah.
Maybe there is another issue. So if categories could be
Yeah.
null, you will do that. Whenever you access that, you say, give me
So maybe
categories or an
if
empty.
what,
So select mini will return nothing because, okay. And
Maybe-
if
Yeah,
a category
I'll
can
try
be
it.
null,
I'm gonna try that because now I'm
that's
curious how it
okay. So
works.
the two changes here will fix what you're saying. Like if a category is null, then it will be that. But this one is just checking that the descriptor is null, which I think seems very weird. A descriptor can't be null, otherwise there is no descriptor added to the database.
Agreed.
Okay, let's see. You'll let us know. You'll fix the fix 51 with the 52.
Yeah, I'll take care of it.
Proper update, edit placement. Oh, and now you know what we'll do? We'll blame the people who merged it. 1, 2, 3, 5, 2. And I hope it's not me. Oh, Dean reviewed it. Oh, boy. So, yeah, so we'll blame Dean to approve it.
Or blame the person to submit the
No.
PR.
No. I mean, that's why you ask people to review to see, did I make an obvious mistake? And
Mike, did it fix your issue when you?
It did. It did, and I
So,
think that's why
it
threw me
mean
off.
it would mean that one descriptor was null in place of yes.
maybe,
So maybe another issue too.
maybe.
Yeah, I'll look into it a little bit more.
See, and the category can be null, that's a different thing, which I could understand, like maybe we introduce that later. So some of them are null, some of them are empty. Interesting. Okay, let's see. Whatever. Then fix edit placement buttons. That's just a script. Okay. The adjustment that we merged it on Thursday. I think so. This one we merged it on Thursday. I remember. We run the PR. So now it's using GraphQL 4. I didn't update this file. Antoine will be angry. Unless you did that after. So Antoine, I have some work for you. So we are using 4.8.0, I think. There is a 5 point something and a 7 point something now. but this PR was working with 4.8. So that's the version we are using here. Next step, update to 7.0 something. So at least we are catching up with GraphQL version. Portable object string localizer simpler for inheritance. During triage, what we said is it's fine for this class, but we have two options there for the future. It's not just this class, but the other ones. So not this class, but the other ones. Not make them public if we don't want them to be public, because maybe it's easier for people to just copy paste the code than us not be able to do changes easily on the internals of the thing. Because if we do a change, then it's a breaking change, and sometimes then we don't do the change because it will be a breaking change. This one was public, and Hicham suggested let's make them virtual. So everything now has to be virtual in case someone wants to inherit and just change one of the methods, even the internal things that are just for implementation details. So in my opinion, I would have just been like, let's make it private. Well, we should have made it private from day one. If people want to reuse the code that's there, copy paste the code. This way we can change it to make it better. You don't have to. We won't break you. And it's very simple code, so I don't see why you could not use that. And also, I don't see why you would change that, because it's just for a single purpose. So it's not a class intended to be reusable and changed and adapted. It's a portable object string localizer, not a whatever type of portable object string localizer. Yeah. And also the goal is to not have, because if you start doing that, you're like, okay, now let's do it for every public class, because why not? Also, okay. And also because it's not sealed, because it's virtual, then for perf reasons, it has an impact. So this one was merged, but that's the last one. DocumentManager.UpdateAsync, okay. There was an issue which was triaged. We talked about the solution. Chantier suggested the solution, and Hicham implemented it. Beautiful. Oh, by the way, so you know I insist a lot about this format. So when you log, you don't use a $sign to do an interpolated string. You do use like the argument syntax, because the logger itself will parse the thing, detect the argument, and replace with the first one here. Okay. And I found in the .NET runtime repository some wrong usage of that. So bad, so shameful. So just saying we are doing better than the .NET repository. Replace status code when possible. Yeah, so we had some helper methods, so it's better to use that. And there is just one new one, I think, which is internal server error. We have the localization workaround with the additional attributes. So we mentioned a PR last week from Hicham to handle localization in attributes, something like that. And in the meantime, a PR was merged, so Hicham is updating the code that was merged to also reflect the new usage of attributes by removing that and using attribute. It's good. Fix DbConnectionValidator when share settings from the categories. No verb, so we don't know what it's fixing, but it's fixing it.
Because we are checking for valid connection, database connection, and if, for example, the document table already exists, but it may exist when we use the shell setting and shell configuration from database with the same prefix.
Okay.
For example, for the default tenant, we most of the time use an empty prefix, which is the case when we use shell from database.
Okay.
This issue only happens when you setting up a tenant. Now add a tenant was doing the setup context. So we're just validating to make sure that the table, exists or not correctly.
And yes, because most of the time we use an empty prefix for the shell setting from database, for example. We allow for the default tenant to that document table already exists. But when we create another tenant or edit another tenant, we don't allow this by convention to not. But potentially, the shell setting from database is configurable and could use any prefix that could be shared with any other tenant. But we don't allow this from the admin UI. I think it's better.
Fix the check content and core tag. Okay, 2 checks.
But yes, you can come back if you
one?
see at a line below when.
I see there was because this. No.
If the root editor root value is not null, but root value are null, we still have to execute line customer attribute href égale URL line. It's too little, I don't see the line. So there is an issue that has.
Why didn't you tell me? I've been recording that for months like this. No, that's not.
You see line 134, for example. Yes, thanks. Custom attribute equal below, just below. This one should be executed if editor root value are not null, even if root value are null. Which is no more the case.
That's a bug, you say?
Yes, before, if you have the first.
No, my question is there a new bug or is it fixed now?
Yes.
Don't say yes. When there is 2 options, A or B, don't say yes, because that's a joke. Okay. If you say you prefer chocolate or vanilla, yes, doesn't answer the question. Do you prefer chocolate or vanilla?
Both. Chocolate.
Okay. Is there a bug now?
Yes.
Thank you. After the change?
You can start the block 10, for example, blog post link are not rendered anymore. We fixed this. There is another.
Thank you. Okay. So, okay. Yeah, that's the question.
I talked too much. Sorry.
Package log. Oh, that's the thing for displaying the contributors in the documentation. Okay. Your update and kdocs and the fix of the fix. Thank you. That's why we have reviewers, even if we don't ask for reviews. Update access controller to create requested scopes when using the client credentials frame. Sure, maybe 1, 2, 3, or 6. Ooh, I believe. Kevin, should I? Yep. Bring quote from Kevin.
I ask Kevin to confirm.
Beautiful. The contributor, ValiSef. Boom, Antoine is there. The contributor policy. Hit update. Yeah, so this one will update twice in a week, and this one just once in a year. 609. PTW, by the way, someone should create a branch that targets Net 7, at least RC1, which is shipped. RC2 will soon be shipped, well, soon, in a few weeks. So RC1, at least to be sure, two things for us to be ready when GA is out. Second, to let the .NET team know if there is an issue that is breaking Orchard, and then there is still some time to fix it. Okay, because there is like 1 or 2 more days for RC2, and then it's release candidate. So there is just a few weeks after that to push a change if that is breaking a lot. And the only way is to try it on Orchard. If it works on Orchard, then it works everywhere, right? But might find some issues. So we should have a branch and try it with RC1 and or 2, but 2 is not available yet. It's available, but as a nightly. Maybe we can do that. Maybe we can use nightlies, right? Because in the .NET step in GitHub, there is a way to get nightlies, I believe. That would be even better. Okay, so that's it. Awesome. We said that Mike had a demo, and then Gabon. Mike, ready?
Yeah, sure.
I hope we are not forcing you, right?
What was that?
We are not forcing you. You are like, yeah, sure, okay.
Nah, I am all ready. Okay, so just to backtrack of what I did before we kind of see what we did. So back a couple months back, we had an issue that I put in that say, hey, there's a need where I need some roles to be able to edit the user and some not. And so that just kind of, I came to myself to a conclusion that the user interface is just not very flexible at the moment with the permissions. So it kind of makes it hard if you have a unique case where you need some specific users to be able to do stuff and versus others. And also to who can see what users when you're listing a users. There is no way if you had a one permission, you basically can do absolutely everything. And just because users, the security risk, I think it should be more flexible because obviously everybody have a different needs for users. So anyway, so that's where this came from. So what I did here is I first added more permissions around the users. So if we go down here in the users, so you'll see a lot more permissions. For example, assign any role, assign a user's administrator role. You have a delete any users or delete the users in a specific role. Same thing for edit user, edit any user or edit user for within a specific role. Same thing for list. So now you can say, hey, I want you to be able to list all the users, but it doesn't mean you're going to be able to edit all the users. That just means that you can list them, right? And same thing, you can say, hey, I want to list all the users in a specific in a specific role. So you can see the users, but at this point you can't really do anything. Same thing here for edit. So you can edit. So so in order for you to really be able to edit here, you want to be able to edit the administration, but you also want to be able to either do this or that, so you can actually see the users. And anyway, so there's also implied by where if you have edit, you automatically get to list. So similarly, if we have a delete and we have assign. So if you want a role to be able to assign a user to like contributor and editor only, then you can now. In the past, you couldn't. Some of you might be like, well, I don't like if you, because we had an argument in the past where, well, if I can edit, I should be able to delete, because what if you have a way to edit like a username? So I just want to kind of go through what some UI changes, and then we'll kind of see some more. So one of the UI changes here that I added the role at the bottom. I think it just makes it easier to at a glance know what roles belong to this user. And I'm logged in as admin, so I get to see every user in here. I get to delete every user. I can edit any user I want. I can add a user. So if we go and try to edit a user here, you're going to see a new thing here, which is the username is disabled, so you can't really change it. The email is editable, you know, and someone might argue, why do we even need that? The good news that we added a setting. So now there's a new setting in the user profile. So if you click here, you can actually configure it. So you can make whichever one, the username change, allowed to change or prevent, or same thing for email. For this, for the argument's sake, I have it configured the other way around. So now you can prevent someone from changing their username, and it's a configuration, and it's up to the admin to determine if they want it enabled or disabled. By default, obviously, it's enabled, so we're not changing that, but they have the flexibility now. So as I mentioned, I'm logged into as an admin, and I can see all the users. As you guys can see here, I can see the admin role right here. So I'm gonna log in into a different user. I'm gonna log into moderator, and if I log in and go here, so as a moderator, I can see all the users, but I can't see admin, because that's how this role is set up. So if you notice the admin, I don't see anyone within admin in here, because I can't list them. I don't have that permission. I can edit those. I can delete users in author role, but I can't delete a user in editor. Again, it's a permission. I'm just demonstrating how permissions work here. There is no logical reason behind this. So as you notice, I can't delete any of the editors. I can't delete any moderators, but I can delete author if I want. If I click add a user, I can click add a user, and I can create username. I can provide username and password, and then password. And in here, I can only assign contributor or editor, because those are my permissions. And as you notice, you can still provide a username in here, even though the settings disable it. We have to have it enabled when you create a user, obviously. And just for another kicks and giggles, if you go to another user, author, which has a different set of permissions than a moderator, and as you can see here, so this guy can list editors, but they can't modify, they can't edit, they can't delete, they can't do anything. I mean, it's useless, but it's there. So I have that flexibility to say, hey, I want you to be able to see them, but you can't do anything. You know, if that is your business needs, go right ahead. Orchard will allow it. And then in here, an author, so, you know, here you can edit the author, so you can edit an author. And again, there's not much you can do here, because you can't really, you don't have a authority to assign roles, and so really you can't really do a lot with this type of settings, but it's flexible enough to allow you to do that. I think this is all the demo. So again, it's just around the, oh, and another issue, I believe we actually already have a problem in Orchard today. I haven't tested it, but just reading the code, if for example, if you go for some reason,
blah 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 blah.
and
Be careful what you say.
I'm sorry?
Be careful what you say. If it's a security issue, you should not talk about
Oh,
it
no,
publicly.
not a security issue. It's not a security. I think we'll have an exception. So if for some reason you decided to disable the role feature, for some reason, right? It's odd, but assume that you did. I think it will break the code, because the users depends on iSite service, and if that service isn't registered, we'll have a problem. So also with what I did with the code, I actually also fixed that. Anyway, that's, if you guys want to look at code, if you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer. If you like what you saw, you want me to submit in PR, I can also do that.
I have a question. Oh, first, I noted something you said. You said because users is a security risk, it should be more flexible. Something like that. I'm like, oh, no, the opposite. Because security risk, you should not allow anything to be changed.
Not a security risk, but like, you know, there's a lot of restriction with a user, right? So there's got to be more flexibility because different business might have a different need for users around users. So that's
the flexibility. Just saying there is something, because it's security related, sometimes, no, we don't want to change that. It's too risky because by mistake, you broke something. But that's okay. I don't care about that in this case. Second comment, you can change the username email. Could you do that before?
Yes, you can change it today.
Before the PR is merged.
Yes, you can change it. You can change username and you can change email. Both.
So you only added the settings, so you can't do that now.
Correct.
Okay, that's safe then. Okay.
Yeah, it's safe. It just allows you to.
Very important because we changed the way users are stored on identity, because now there is a unique identifier to prevent collisions, to prevent spoofing, and so on. So that's very important. So yes, you can have and you can have email collisions. We don't care. We just check the identity, though we check that there is no two emails on the same. But yeah, so I won't ask the second part of the question because that will just be if you answered no. Question, what if a user is in two roles like editors and admin, and you just have the permission to list editors?
Well, if you can do editor, then you can see it, or you can edit it.
Same thing for delete.
Same thing.
So that's good because permissions are additive in Orchard, which means we grant them. So if we don't grant it, you don't have it. It's not like we prevent something to be done, it's we allow something to be done. So if we allow editors to be deleted, then if you're admin and an editor, we can delete you because we allowed editors. We didn't disallow admin from being edited, just allowed editors to be edited. Okay, that's good. All good. Anyone else? Ask questions? We've talked about it.
A PR?
We have talked about the issue, right, and the design about that by the past in the triage with the dynamic things, dynamic authorization, whatever provider.
Yes.
Okay, good. Next demo. Gabor?
Should I submit an PR?
Yeah, sure. If you have an issue, we can triage it, or because we saw it, we can submit a PR.
Sure.
People who watch the meeting afterwards can also comment on the PR if they have some comments on that. Looks good. I personally like the editor names as little tags. Looks good.
Good.
Okay, hey, so you should be able to see my screen now.
Okay, that's why Toby joined.
Yeah, yeah. All right, so for those unfamiliar with the site, the primary purpose is to showcase music and its cultural impact, as well as to provide related educational content. News from the world of music are also available in the form of articles, and users can digitally purchase albums and other content as well. Additionally, users can also request licenses for music to use for their own purposes, but I will show that in more detail later on. A bit of background, the app was recently migrated from Orchard 1 to Orchard Core, and this process included recreating and re-implementing everything that was present in the previous application, as well as adding some important new features like UI tests. And now for a more general overview of the site's pages. The home page, which you can see right now, right here. This serves navigational purposes for the most part. It shows the latest available contents of the site, which includes new releases, artists, vinyl reissues, news, and so on. You can also browse the site by filtering by genre, location, artists, or record labels. So for example, if I were to click American folk genre, it will show the relevant releases for that. And if I'm filtering by artist, then it will show releases and other content types as well. Yeah. As for the explore page, this includes stories, articles, playlists, various videos, and podcasts. So an example for a cover story is this one, which also includes embedded audio players. Well, it's an article. I don't suppose you want to read all of it right now? Yeah. For example, this is a playlist, and it comes with embedded Spotify, YouTube, and Apple Music players, all of which are, you can play music on them. Oops, that might have been loud. I don't know if it was heard. Yep. And for videos, for example, there is a fair amount of interlinking between content items thanks to the Folkways Suggests feature, which recommends similar content based on the genres and artists. So these are all related to this item, this video. Okay. Now the Learn page. So the Learn page features free educational resources, courses, and lesson plans. There is an interactive map over here that helps with selecting lesson plans that concern a specific region's musical culture. For example, if I am to click on the Norway region, then there is a lesson plan available here for use. Scrolling down, these are the lesson plans, and the lesson plan looks like this. Yeah, this also comes with a Folkways Suggests, as previously mentioned. And this page also includes more additional resources for learning. Yep, that's the Learn page. Now, the Join page. The Join page is basically just for job offers and membership plans. You can become a member, believe it or not. The shop page, it's just for buying vinyls, DVDs, and various merchandise items. Oh, and books as well. And now, as I mentioned earlier, the license request feature. So this form is used, users can use this form to request licensed music for their own personal uses. So I'm just gonna fill it out really quick. Filling out the required parts. Okay, so the editor groups here, you can navigate between them using the top navigation bar, or you can also use the back and continue buttons. The data that the users enter is only saved when you click the continue button, which is by design. And there's a song search field here, which you can use, which the users will use to find the songs that they wish to license. I'm just going to fill this out real quick. This request form was built using the newly re-implemented async editor, which is part of Lombiq's content editor module. The same module exists for Orchard Core as well, but it was re-implemented for Orchard Core as part of this process. Oh, that's about it for the license request form. I'm not going to finish it. I don't spam needless emails. And for a few more technical details that I could include, registered members of the site can use LDAP server and NetSuite login options as well for authentication. So they don't necessarily need an Orchard Core user account to log in. And yeah, one of the largest parts of this this migration process was data migration, which was handled by Jean-Thierry. And that's about it. Now, I believe Toby also has a few words for the community. So unless there are questions, I would hand it over to him.
Maybe we could show a little the admin UI, if possible.
Yep. Yeah, just a second.
Because we added the filter and the tabs and so on. Just a little.
What I want to see is you changing the admin. I can see it on the website. Let's break the site just to see it's real.
Okay. So you can go again in the browse by geography, for example, where we render thousands of paged items.
Where do you want me to go?
Oh yes, we show the admin. You can go to content type release.
Oh yeah.
Content type release, for example, to show all the filter we are on the right, and just editor release, for example.
Custom module to do that?
We have a main module for the application, which is called something .collection, and where we manage all the related collection. So part of this, we have this filter.
So yeah, these filters, they are just standard extensibility from Orchard.
Right? Yes, I don't remember the detail. Maybe some tweaks to adapt to the. And if you edit just the content item to see the tab we have. So a release or yes, you go to the yes. So for example, yes, it's a track of a release.
And the tabs, they are also from placement tabs.
Yes, and we improved the placement. Normally, the placement is grouped in a JSON file by, if I remember correctly, by field type or part type, and we have the ability to group them by content type. It is clearer to organize placement override. Okay. So it's just an example. Oh yes, we did something that we can notify. For example, an album, 9 release now, have a list part of track, and we have the ability to edit a field in an album or in a track of a given collection, and to say I want to modify the same field with the same value for all track of a given parent release. So yes, we also improve the content picker field. You have a link, a generated link. So when clicking it, you can edit the referenced entity, for example, and you return back to the. When it is done, you return back to the parent release, and so on. Just to give two examples, and yes. But most of the time with the underlying out of the box Orchard feature. Yes, if you click, for example, in the item of a given list, you go to the entity. You can click on the link. Yes, normally you go to the entity, and when you click cancel, you can edit. And when you click cancel, you return back to the parent. We also added, if you publish also, yes, and we also added some cache of the last active tab Yes, maybe it didn't work when you publish, and so on. And we are using a lot of collection, list parts, back parts, content picker field to make relation, and so on. And just to say, we use mini caching, indexing, and so on. And one feature is in place of doing a lot of time join query, we cache relation between content item ID, so that we can have the relation cached. And when we know the content item ID, we can query the related item, or just some POCOs that we store in table index. So many times we just do a query index and not a join query, which have its non-clustered index for performance. And we added in the non-clustered index the ID, because when you do a query index directly, it returns all the fields, and the ID is part of them. So the non-clustered index doesn't work well if there is a missing field. And finally, last thing, I use the new component we have, HTTP background job, so that to not slow down the admin UI. When we publish an item, there are some cache that are invalidated and repopulated automatically, and some have hundreds of tens of thousands items to update. So we do it like in a background job immediately, so we don't have a too big impact in the admin UI. And as Gabor said, we made a new import from Excel, from whatever. And for migration, we made a new UI to migrate from the O1. You can go to configuration, import, export, just to see, yes. And we can here import from an old database all the entity we need in a new fresh setup site. And you see all the tab, and you have to configure a connection from the old database. And it is in the background, it is in a HTTP background job. So when you click, you have the page immediately rendered, and you can see the progress bar in action. And Toby often used it when we do migration, when we want to update the new database with the old one data value. And yes, that's okay. That's okay. This is the first time we do something that is executed in the background, and where you can see the results, the current state, so you can navigate everywhere and return back here and see if you imported all your entity. But I talk too much. That's end. What do you think?
I have thoughts. Maybe I'll say my words. I hope it's a proud moment. It's certainly a proud moment for me. We launched in July. It took us about a year or 10 months or so to complete the migration from Orchard 1X, and I've been working here at Smithsonian Folkways here in Washington, D.C. We're a funky little corner of the Smithsonian Institution, which is maybe you've heard of. It's actually the largest museum complex in the world, the National Museum of the United States, and so we have collections. And when I think back at my time here, I've been here, honestly, I'm embarrassed. I've been here almost 20 years. And I started out in Seattle, actually was recruited into this. I've always been a .NET guy. I was working at Paul Allen's company, the Experience Music Project, Vulkan and the Experience Music Project. So I kind of had .NET going early on, but the decision to build on .NET and position the collection in SQL Server and using the framework has just continued to pay off over and over. And when I think about the past 10 years of working in Orchard, and I think of the way we worked in 1X and the experience of collaborating with Sipka Shustra, who himself was absolutely brilliant, and then to have the experience of being referred to Lombiq and to be able to get to work with Gabor and Jean-Thierry and Zoltan and Milan. I mean, this has just been a dream for somebody like myself. I am managing the code. On a good day, I would say I'm a mid-tier .NET developer, but I mean, to give you context, I basically had no idea what you guys were talking about for the first 10 minutes of this meeting. I started to warm up. But anyhow, we working with Lombiq, we went through a really complex migration, but it all got done. It was a testament to the underlying technology. And in the credits to the whole project, we make a point of crediting the Orchard community. We understand that that we are benefiting from all of you guys and your brilliance. I mean, Sebastian, I reached out to you a couple times along the way, and you helped guide me. So everyone here deserves a lot of thanks. I am now trying in my best way to advocate for other parts of the institution I work in to be using Orchard. We are managing collections here, so my CMS is a collection management system. I can't imagine a more powerful content management tool, especially now that we're post-launch and starting to add more bells and whistles. Introducing functionality that interacts with Excel for collection exporting and reporting, and the way in which we are able to put this application at the center of our organization has been something else. And it's helping us succeed in many ways, because we can continue to interact with, and a special thanks for being flexible around, we continue to interact at the SQL Server layer, but not in the same way. Okay, I'm starting to ramble. I think I was going good there for a while. But anyway, I'm here to thank you guys. And I hope now that it's launched, I can come hang out at these meetings a little bit more. We're going to be developing and adding new features. Where we're going in next year is to go to the next phase for our website will be to overhaul the way in which we do search. Right now we have these incredible browsing capabilities, but our search is old. So we'll be redoing search, and also we'll be introducing streaming of the collection, which will allow users who are giving a $5 a month donation will have the ability to stream the collection of music. That collection, which is 70,000 songs that date back to the 1930s, some of which are some of the oldest recordings that exist from certain communities. And that will the collection itself will outlast all of us here, and will continue to have interest because of how old it is. The 20th century may be fading into memory a bit, but we're museums, and we know that the interest in in that stuff will never go away. People still like Picasso. So anyway, I'm just proud to be part of this community too, and wanted to show up here today to thank you guys, and especially thank Lombiq and Jean-Thierry and Gabor and Milan, and if Sultan was here, I would thank him too. You guys rock.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome, everyone. It's a huge site, super fast also. I love it. The only thing that is slow is the image, which we don't care. It's not that. It's something is hosting the image and it's slow. But yes, otherwise, all the navigation seems super fast.
Yes, there is a little latency and concern with content delivery bandwidth.
Yeah, that's nice. I love it.
Well, it never ends, right? So if it was perfect, I'd be freaking out over here.
I will complain. My main complaint here is that the Orchard Core tag was removed from the headers. So I won't thank you for that.
I don't remember that.
I can't see it. So either you're not using Orchard Core or you remove the tag. One of them. At least on the home page. Let me check on a different page.
Yes, really, because we didn't do that, as I remember.
No, by default it's there, so you have to opt in into not rendering that. That's the only thing.
Should we, Sebastian, should we grant you access to the repository and
No, I don't.
allow you to make
No,
that
no,
change?
no. That's the. No.
We don't have the last version. I don't know.
No, it's been there since like it's been 5 years. It's the first thing we did in the tool is generate the Orchard Core tag. Then someone asked, "Can we make it
I did
optional?"
not remove it.
Then we said, "Can we remove it?" I said, "No, it's here by default, and there is an option."
Yes. I like to
disable
see
it.
it. Yes.
That's just saying. It's just for tools to detect what sites run on Orchard Core. That's easier for us to find the sites. No, that's great. Good job, all the team, everyone. And a great achievement also technically in terms of you are in the admin and feature. That's great. Birth, everything is here. So that's good for the future. And I assume that every and I see the search is slow, so I hope that the Elasticsearch can be merged soon. So it's even faster now and better. You see, the only thing that was slowish, the search, a few seconds to get the result.
Yes, in some place the searching still use another way, another service application. But we have some place where we use all the indexes I was talking about and all caching, and is quite fast when you browse by. We can show many items by area, culture, genre, and so on, and we can navigate over the world quite fast. So awesome. We'll see about searching.
Right. When we are on .NET 7, you can use the output caching to make things even faster.
Yes, I saw it.
Also,
we also use shape caching in some place, but not intensively. We also use shape caching, but not intensively.
Yeah, output caching will be much better in some places.
Yes, I saw.
Great. Any other questions, comments?
Yes, Sebastian, I have a question about SQL. I put a link in the chat for the schema builder. We had a question about how the bridge table, how it's generated. It's always forcing you to use an underscore. Is there a reason for that? Why can't we use the schema, the table schema convention, name convention instead?
I know, I'd have to check. Maybe it's not coded in too many places.
It is in the bridge table, which generate a name with a separator between two table name, already table name.
Yeah, maybe it's not. If it's abstracted.
Sorry, this is not the tab prefix separator. It will be another separator.
Maybe it needs a new abstraction to be able to change the bridge table names. If there is abstraction, then it's hard-coded everywhere.
I don't know.
So that's the two reasons.
Maybe just about the separator, but is it allowed to use to generate a bridge table name as we want, or is it required to have an underscore? I don't know.
No, it's just maybe I hard-coded it because this is the way I wanted it to be.
So it will be another option, another separator.
It can be another option, or even the way you build the name, including the two extremities, it could be abstracted. So if you want to just do something else.
Not me, but if Mike.
In the configuration, lambda that contains the logic, and then you can change the logic in the config. Boom. You don't need a custom interface or DI, just some lambda in the configuration to be called every time we need that. And the default one will say table left underscore table right, but then you can change what you want.
Ah, yes.
Shouldn't that be part of the naming convention class?
What?
I mean, shouldn't that be part of the naming convention class?
Maybe. Yeah, if there is one like this, I don't remember. Yes.
We have a class that it's responsible for creating names. So
sounds familiar. Yeah. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. I will promote someone with write permission on SQL so it can be unblocked when I'm not there.
Okay.
Dean is gone, so we need to find someone else who knows SQL. Maybe Jean-Thierry. He knows better.
I think Mike can do it, but
He
well,
doesn't know. Mike doesn't know.
If you do, yes.
Okay, we'll see. Yeah, find an issue, ping me there, and people will comment on that with their knowledge. But if there is just a new class to add with, or to add to naming convention, to change the identity table, the bridge table name, totally fine. It's no issue.
Or maybe just the separator.
Nah, doesn't make sense.
Okay. Yes.
If you can, if it's as hard to just say everything, just say everything.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Good. Okay. Well, thanks for everything for the demos, Mike for demo, Lombiq/Toby/contractors.
You're fine.
Awesome. 2 meetings in a row full of demos and discussions. That's perfect. Thanks, everyone. See you on Thursday or next Tuesday.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.